Welcome back, everybody, to Time to Unite. I'm your host, Jason Rains. And let me tell you, we have got a few more great interviews for you today. Today, we get to hear from our very own Executive Director of Unite Greater Dallas, Rebecca Walls. Along with Rebecca, we're going to hear from Markus, Lloyd of Threaded and Pastor Mercury Bynum, who's a pastor right here in Dallas, Texas. Well, I don't want to hold you up. I want to get you right into those interviews. So stay tuned and watch this. So for those who may not know a whole lot about Unite yet, or they're just getting into it, or they're hearing about it, give us a little bit about your heart, what Unite is, how it came about.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I saw that the church wasn't even knowing the church down the street or knowing what churches down the street were doing in the community, yet we said we had the same mission. Like, what are we doing? So that was about 9 years ago when we were in Atlanta. And when we got brought back to Dallas, I thought, surely there's something like this happening in Dallas. And what I found was a group of churches sitting down to talk about it for the first time. What would it look like if we worked together in the community? What does work together in the community look like?
Yeah.
So God brought us all together at the right time. And that was 8 years ago. 12 churches then. Now we have 300 that are trying to at least coordinate efforts, and where there's gaps that we can fill together, collaborate around those. But my heart was originally for church unity, and now my heart breaks for all the issues in the city. Just the state of education, and particular literacy, is just heartbreaking. So spreading that word to the Christians in the community and helping them understand what they can do to make a difference.
So in your mind, how critical is it that the church is the leader in this, the forefront, and that they get the understanding of how important it is to dwell in unity, to work in unity? Share with me what you think about that.
So I do think we have to be the leader of the unity piece. That's what Jesus said. I mean, he prayed. Not only did he say kind of they will know you by your love for one another. That's kind of, I'm going to be nice to you, and people are going to see that, and they're going to want to know, why are you nice to him? But really, I think John 17:23, Jesus prays, may they be one as you and I are one, so that the whole world will know you sent me and that you love them as much as you love me. Jesus is saying, if you guys don't work together, you're not going to accomplish this mission.
Right.
So I think it's an absolute imperative for us to be united, not unified where we're all the same, united as we're all working in this together. But as far as the leader of working on the different issues, I don't think we have to be the leader per se. I think we need to come with a humble spirit and say, God has blessed us so we can bless the community. We have to do our part. For us to not be in those conversations is a sin. So we have to be at the table. Whether or not we have to be the leader is another question altogether.
Right. Okay. How do you see the partnership between Unite and your issue that you kind of help lead and charge for us is racial reconciliation? Right. How do you see churches partnering with Unite as a positive catalyst for change?
Well, there isn't a silver bullet, I would say. I would say that the resources and the tools that we work to develop as a coalition are tools that churches can add to their toolbox.
Gotcha.
And I think when churches implement the toolbox correctly, they can move the dial.
Gotcha.
They can move a church from being in a negative place as it relates to racial reconciliation to a better place. And I think we should strive for better. And so if churches have been isolated and all they know is working with individuals and people groups that look like them, that work really doesn't mirror heaven. But I understand that historically there have been lots of things that have transpired that have prevented people from working with other people in churches that don't look like them. But it's our responsibility to work to tear down those barriers and those walls. What we've done, Unite and the coalitions and the groups that we work with, is we've assembled some tools, some made up of pre-existing materials and and resources. Others that we've created very uniquely for the city of Dallas. We've created some tools that we feel adequately address the issue of racial divisions in our city, and cause us to have real honest dialogue around the issues of race. We feel that if we don't have honest dialogue, and that means touching on some uncomfortable issues and topics, if we're not having honest dialogue, then we're really tiptoeing around the issues. And I don't believe Christ called us to tiptoe around the issue.
Right.
If Jesus was a part of the racial reconciliation discussion, I don't believe Jesus would tiptoe around the issue of racial reconciliation. I believe that he would address it head on. He asked his disciples, who do men say that I am? And they said, well, some say thou art the Christ, some say thou art the Son of God. But he could have stopped there, but he wasn't one to tiptoe around the issue. He said, well, who do you say that I am? I want you to tell me, who do you say that I am? And I think we as a church, we have to be okay with asking that question of our brothers.
Right.
Who do you say that I am?
Right.
And as a people. And so, again, I think that we're on the right track, but it takes time and energy to build momentum. And I think this meeting today was a part of that energy.
Yeah.
And if we're consistent, we're going to build momentum. And it's hard to stop a train that's moving full speed ahead.
Absolutely. Pastor, how important is it that the church, Big C Church, be the forefront of this movement in bringing about racial reconciliation? I mean, how critical is that? Oh,
it's extremely critical. As far as I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the Bible says that the gates of hell won't prevail against the church. I think, as far as I know, the only thing that hell won't prevail against is the church. And so that means that the church has to be out in the forefront. The church has to be the armored vehicle. The church has to be the battering ram. The church is what opens the door. And after the door is open, many can have access to what's behind the door. The church has to be the Trojan horse. The church has to be at the forefront of the movement, and behind that, then we implement various strategies and different touch points in order to further the conversation of racial reconciliation. It's going to take a mighty wave in order to create and to leave an America that we can be proud of. For our children to enjoy. And they're watching us. They're watching how we deal with each other. They're watching how either sensitive or insensitive we are toward each other. They're watching how we react to the plight of our brothers and sisters that don't look like us. They're watching how we react to those that are poor. What we heard the mayor say today was that we've gone backwards as it relates to homelessness here in our city. But yet we have some of us in the city of Dallas that are living quite well. But yet there are others that are living below the poverty line, and they can't seem to get ahead because they're kind of stuck in a cycle. And the church has to ask themselves a question: are we okay with that being the reality of our city?
Absolutely. How has partnering with Unite helped churches in your area come together and begin addressing the needs of your community that you work with?
Yeah, well, you always need a catalyst that's going to be about unity. Because as much as churches talk about it and want to do it, there's just so many other things that are going on that it's easy to kind of make unity kind of this back-end issue, this side deal. So you always need an organization like Unite to come in and constantly be moving the churches forward and reminding you of this truth of unity of God's people. And so I think it's very helpful because churches are doing the same thing. And I think when you can get together and have these meetings where you convene and you collaborate and you cooperate, and you see places where other churches are working in the same place that you are, you can do one of those things. You can either say, well, let me learn from you how you do this better, or how can we do this together at the same time, or how can we collaborate and go after this deal? And most people are very intelligent, right? We like efficiency. And so when we see other churches working in, let's say, hunger, we go, it's kind of dumb for us to not be doing this together. We're literally working with the same food pantry just the next weekend, right? Let's bring this together. And so it's a great reminder for that.
So how important is it that the church is coming together and working in unity? Like, I mean, how important is it that that's a thing that's happening? Right?
Well, it's important, one, because when you collaborate, you're bringing together the resources in a maximizing way. It's you have, say, one church that has 20 people that are passionate about, say, hunger, and then you have another church that has 5 people that are passionate about hunger. Well, that church that has 5 people that are passionate about hunger, it's hard to get them to move in the area of hunger because they're going, well, we only have 5 people. But if you bring those 5 people, those 20, now all of a sudden you've got 25 people who are all passionate about hunger, and now you're bringing in ideas that stir each other. And so I think it's helpful because it helps maximize the intelligence and the passions of the people of God in the trajectory towards where God is sending them. But I think a second thing that it does is that it gives a better, it actually gives a better face to the gospel, right? It's a more clear understanding of the church as it's really united together. I think many times we try to kind of think about ourselves separate from each other, but we are all united, whether we like it or not. You know what I mean? Like, we are one body. God does not look down and go, oh, well, your church is this. Like, he sees us as one body. So it actually gives the appropriate face of the church of Christ to the community, because the community is looking at us too and going, aren't y'all all together? And then when they see us working separately, it doesn't compute to them because it's not true. We're not separate. So it gives a better face to the community. I think it supports what the Bible always says about how we work together anyway. So it's a great, it gives it solidifies the reputation of God and makes his name even more famous and great in the community when we do that.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's all we've got for you today. I hope you really enjoyed it and found the information that they had to talk about valuable and something that you can take back into your friends, your community, and your church. You can go to www.unitethechurch.org and get your very own copy of the Church Impact Report that we went over this year. Again, it's full of vital information that I think that you need and that you need to get in the hands of your pastors and your church leaders. I think that what we're doing here in Dallas and everything that's going on, this is information that you are going to need and you're going to want. So do me a favor, go to that website and get your copy today. Well, that's all the time we've got. I hope you had enjoyed your time, and I'll see you again next time right here on Time to Unite.